I know that we're all hooked up to our iPhones and iPods, but for me, there's nothing like watching a live band right there in front of you. And a good rock band to get you moving is hard to beat. But what's up on the rock scene in Canada today? And what does it take to be bona fide rock stars? I got all the answers when I went down to the Cadillac Lounge right here in Toronto.
They called it rockabilly long before they called it rock and roll.
Those simple words were made legend by the great Wanda Jackson, considered the first female artist ever to record rock and roll music. From its heyday in the 70s when The Who and Led Zeppelin ruled, to today's more alternate sound, rock music has traveled a long, often winding road. And after years of the pop invasion and grunge, techno and electronica taking over, is there still room for rock? Well, down at one of Toronto's foremost rock and roll venues, there is little doubt.
In the 80s and the 90s, yeah, rock went underground, but I think it's back.
There's a place for rock and roll. It's different from hip-hop. It's a lot more about the live music experience.
And Eric knows a thing or two about that as the lead guitarist of Shattervox. Lead singer Frank echoes the same sentiment.
For me, that's what it's all about. I mean, catching the buzz of the crowd, you know, and giving it back to them. And I love playing to people who love the music.
Coming from a different country, I find in Canada, especially Toronto, there's this urge to just go out there and do things, right? Which in other countries you say, well, I'm not a pro, you know, it's not my job. But here you have place and, you know, people that are willing to come and see us.
I think Toronto is probably one of the capitals of rock and roll. I mean, there's London, New York, there's Toronto. I mean, the Stones come here and practice, and then they start their gigs here. I mean, it's a cool thing. It's a great place, and there'll always be rock and roll here.
And although it's spanned the decades, the feel and core themes in rock and roll remain consistent.
Rock music, it's like, you know, it's just, it's kind of, you know, capturing your youth and being a little bit rebellious. And just saying what's on your mind.
I think it's come full circle. I mean, you're listening to a lot of what the White Stripes are doing, Jack White, the Raconteurs, all those bands, and you're listening to a lot of the Kinks sound, all the Who sounds all over again. And to me, I mean, that's what I live for.
Hip-hop, pop, and rap are topping the charts, but bands like Shattervox prove that the heart of rock and roll is still beating. And while they're busy keeping the vibe alive, what keeps them ticking? A behind-the-scenes jam session with the band revealed the rather surprising day-to-day lives of this hard-working rock band.
I'm an investment advisor. I've got twin girls at home and a beautiful wife. I love what I do during the day. I love my job, and I work with a great set of people at work. And I've got such a great clientele. I love what I do. I have a passion for what I do there.
Both my wife and I could not have a career at the same time as raising kids. She has a very good career in finance, you know, and, you know, so I made a decision to step back, basically, and slow down my own career, and became a home dad, basically, for a few years.
So you have two teenage daughters.
Yeah, 15 and 17.
What do they think about Daddy being like a rock star?
They're making a lot of fun of it.
I'm a firefighter here in Toronto, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a rock star first. That was my first love. And I was probably just about 30 years old when I realized there's not a whole lot of money in rock and roll. Yeah. You know, except unless you're one of the lucky few. Yeah. So I thought I'd better get a real job, and I applied for the fire department, and
it doesn't get more real than firefighting.
Not really.
Yeah. And then you also have a son and a daughter.
I do.
And do they think Dad's a cool rock star?
Not really. They think Dad's a cool firefighter.
Well, actually, you get to do both. You get to be a superhero, and you get to be a rock star. That's kind of cool.
The best of both worlds.
It really is.
I'm in the software business, been in the software business pretty much my entire career. Currently working for IBM. Got a pretty high-profile career, and that's really just a means to an end to fund my rock and roll career, as far as I'm concerned.
But with a family and regular jobs, also having that rock career can be quite the balancing act.
You balance it. I mean, you have to balance it, you know.
Yeah.
I love the time that I spend with my kids. You know, I think that everyone needs, if it's a sport, you know, you need some kind of something else, something that you can call your own.
I actually had to make a career choice. I used to be a management consultant, which meant I was flying around 5 days a week. And there was just no way that you could have, first of all, not a normal life, but how can you have a rock and roll band when you're gone 5 days a week? Yeah. So I actually made a career change so that I could have time for myself to put this band together.
It all seems to be paying off, though. Shattervox is gearing up for the release of their very first full-length album.
We've got an album coming out. We haven't decided what the name is yet, but we've got 10 original songs that we've written. We've recorded 8 already. We're working with a great producer, a guy by the name of Kevin Jollymore. I'm a huge fan of his music, so it was just natural to have him help us with the production of the album.
How do you find the motivation to just keep going and keep at it, and then now put out this album?
I mean, for me, it's just the pure love of rock and roll. I've been a rock and roll fan since I was 4 years old.
It's just a lot of fun. You know, I mean, some people my age and mid-40s like to spend their midlife crisis different ways. I just went to a place, bought a couple of guitar, bass, and that's it.
And having full-time jobs and families, and being able to put out a bona fide rock and roll album is something we're all very proud of, for sure.
And would they let the kids do the same?
Oh yeah, my kids are just naturally rhythmic, and they're naturals. They're better singers than I am.
Well, maybe one day they'll join the band.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So the future of rock and roll is secure. In the present, though, the guys are hard at work completing the album, which releases in the spring of 2012. And coming up really soon?
January 26th, it's on a Thursday night. We're going to be playing at the Cadillac Lounge here in Toronto. So come out and see us.